Welcome everyone to day 2 of EA Global Summit 2021. This is Juhi from EA Global Summit organizing team. Thanks to everyone for your time and efforts in joining us for this session. This session is by Scott Hubbard, Communication Manager from Spark Systems Australia, presenting this session about Spark Systems tool for remote collaboration. Kindly be informed that we will be muting all the participants throughout the session, and if any of you are having any questions during and after the session, please use the chat window or questions window to drop your questions to the speaker. The speaker will answer during the Q&A session at the end. And also to enable collaboration and communication with Scott directly and also with other EA practitioners across the world following to this session, we request you to visit Scott's channel in MS Teams. The link to the MS Teams channel is posted in the chat window for your quick reference. If anyone is having any difficulty in connecting to Teams, please reach us in the chat window or drop an email to registrations@eaglobalsummit.com. Thanks once again for your continual interest and support to EA Global Summit 2021. Looking forward to another effective session with Scott in this year's summit. Over to you, Scott, now.
Thank you very much, and a big shout out to the registration team that's doing such a wonderful job. I'll just share my screen.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So as mentioned, my name's Scott Hubbard, and I'm the Communications Manager at Spark Systems. And it's my great pleasure today to present and preview some of the new features in Enterprise Architect 16 to demonstrate how teams can collaborate and work together more effectively. So one of the great things is that at Spark Systems, we've been using Enterprise Architect 16 for some time now, and the collaboration features that have been integrated with Enterprise Architect 16 are so fantastic. We use them every day to communicate with team members, to interact, to work with one another. So it's really fantastic. So in these unpredictable and challenging times, many organizations have moved to a remote or hybrid approach to tackle the daily challenges of running an enterprise. And here at Spark Systems, we're no different. And we've been using Enterprise Architect 16, the Pro Cloud Server, and Prolaborate every day this year to work from home, to model, share, and engage. And the collaboration tools sit at the heart of that. So there are a number of challenges with working remotely, and some of these include that staff want to stay connected, so they might feel a bit isolated at home. There's a need to share documents and to collaborate. The enterprise actually needs to be able to manage staff resources and make sure that they can improve workflow and productivity. You need to provide access to a shared model repository, and people need real-time access to enterprise models. And one of the great things about Enterprise Architect 16 is it provides all of this in a single tool. Some of the other challenges include that companies need to manage projects remotely. Staff need to be able to discuss projects in real time. They need to provide discussions with context. You need to be able to track tasks and productivity so you can see where your entire team is at. You need integrated communication tools, and Enterprise Architect 16 goes a long way to ensuring this. And you also need to ensure that intellectual property is never lost. So if you're working on ideas or concepts or models or code or software designs, you want that stored in the model so it's never lost, because some of that intellectual property is really valuable to an enterprise and can be worth hundreds, thousands, or millions of dollars. And you don't want that information lost. So this leads to the benefits of the Spark Systems approach. So staff working from home, and most of Spark Systems staff are currently working from home in various stages of lockdown. We use the collaboration features to stay connected. We have real-time access to enterprise data and team discussions. We have one tool to manage every aspect of the enterprise. And I speak to lots of friends that have to deal with 15 different tools, and I love it that I just have to use EA, and it covers everything: guidelines, company policy, calendar entries, daily task documents, are all stored in the Enterprise Architect model. Daily activities are recorded in a journal, We have Kanban diagrams that are used to track projects. So my webinars, for example, I can see which ones need to be approved, which ones are set to be published, and all resources can be assigned at a granular level. So right down to the element level, we can assign staff and say, this needs to be done by this given date. And of course, Enterprise Architect has always had Gantt charts and calendars built in so that you can track and manage dates, deadlines, and keep on top of things. So Spark Systems approach using Enterprise Architect 16, Prolaborate 4, and the Pro Cloud Server really makes all of this enterprise information available at everyone's fingertips. Everything's just a click away. I'm now going to talk about some of the roles within Spark Systems and how we use some of these tools on a day-to-day basis. So a software developer uses model mail, discussions, and reviews to help keep everyone on the same page. Developers can manage, build, run, and debug code directly from Enterprise Architect. In Tom's presentation, he talked about searching for IntelliSense, but software developers use IntelliSense, maintenance, and testing features, and they're vital to keep track of the work that needs to be done. So Enterprise Architect, as it always has done, allows you to visualize, analyze, document, test, and maintain code using a single tool. But what's really good is you don't have to have a separate tool for communication and a separate tool for chat and a separate tool for whiteboards and a separate tool for creating mind maps. It's all done within Enterprise Architect. And this is really quite powerful. And like I said, I work with lots of people in the IT industry, and some of them get sick of switching between 15 different tools to perform collaboration. Now, I often also work in marketing and sales, and we use Kanban diagrams. So I can track the progress of my webinars, of any white papers, magazine releases, YouTube items, all using Kanban diagrams. We can access policy and planning documents via the Pro Cloud Server. And so at Spark Systems, we manage all of this in-house, from our leave documents and much, much more. Our sales and support has the ability to use chat and model mail to keep in touch, to generate web pages and help documents, scripts to automate processes, to bring in model mail, and we manage customers and resources. And enterprise information is always at your fingertips. So it doesn't matter what role you have, from sales and support to marketing to developers. There's features in Enterprise Architect that have been specifically designed to help us. And we always use the somewhat crude term that we eat our own dog food. But what it means is that we're using Enterprise Architect every day to develop Enterprise Architect, to manage sales, to manage support, to manage marketing, and to manage how the company works. And because we've been doing it for 12 months, it allows us to see how great these features are. Now, for management within an enterprise, it allows people to track and monitor policy, including version control on policy. You can record leave and attendance in the calendar. You can monitor expense requests. You can journal daily activities so you can see what your staff are up to at home. You can use Kanban and resource management and Gantt charts in order to see how much progress is being made. You can create and model a shared vision and make it available to everyone and share it using Prolaborate and Pro Cloud Server, so it's available via the web and via a mobile phone or cell phone. You can model how an organization such as Spark Systems works. You can assign staff resources to a given task. So now I'm going to switch to the demo role, and there's a few things that aren't strictly collaboration, such as a new start page, but I'm going to look at some of the new productivity tabs, how to create models from a pattern, how to get model guidance, and how to get started with ease, and how to generate some in situ process guidance using the brand new start page in Enterprise Architect 16. And we'll show you how easy it is to access, create, and open models. In addition to the start page, I'm going to also have a look at some of the new features related to doing a model transfer and some of the new file formats. And I'm going to demonstrate a variety of the new collaboration tools. Now, obviously the focus of this particular presentation is Enterprise Architect 16, but we do have WebEA and Prolaborate, which then takes all of these models and makes them available via the web, which further allows you to engage with key stakeholders outside of an enterprise, to share models, to share information. And because chat features are enabled within WebEA and within Prolaborate, it allows everybody to stay connected, even if they don't have a copy of Enterprise Architect. Now, we'd love everybody to have a copy of Enterprise Architect on their desk, but it does, with things like Prolaborate and ProCloud Server, it allows you to engage with all key stakeholders. So now what I'd like to do is switch over to our demonstration. So looking at the start page, when you create a new file in Enterprise Architect 16, the first thing you might notice are there are a few new file types. Now, Tom did mention this in his keynote, but you now have QEA and QEAX files. So Enterprise Architect will support both 32 and 64-bit, supporting larger reports, diagrams, and databases. This long demanded and lots of people have asked for feature should keep many of our corporate customers happy with 64-bit support, allowing you to scale up to larger, bigger, and faster projects. Enterprise Architect 16 introduces a new file format. So QEA is obviously for the personal basic file-based version. QEAX is to support shared files within small work groups. Within the start page, you can pin any projects that you use all the time. You can see there are hundreds and thousands, or I should say thousands of different patterns here, and you can create model patterns from the moment you get started. So for example, I've been able to create a use case and a state machine in a few seconds and build a model with 2 completed diagrams in just a couple of seconds. And here's the state machine on screen. So the start page makes it really easy to build a basic model, and you can then go in and edit the properties and edit those elements to cater and target and tailor that model for your own needs. We also have the ability to add diagrams, and the one I'm going to point out is the whiteboard diagram, but whiteboards and mind maps are really great collaborative tools for fleshing out ideas and discussing things in team meetings and being able to visualize that in a constructive way. I really like the whiteboard because it's got lots of tools like arrows and clocks and flags and stars, so that you can get a very engaging and visually appealing diagram created in just a few seconds. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is guidance, and you can create a process guidance. Now, you can see here is an example where we can set up a simple cloud installation or a pro cloud installation. There are lots of different process guidance steps, and as you check off each step in the process, you'll see a great big green tick. And I can imagine many of our corporate customers will take some of these processes and modify them and change them in order to specify their own processes that are valuable in an organization. Now, recently I had an old 2014 EAP file for a requirements webinar that I wanted to update, and I thought it was a great opportunity to test a new project transfer feature. Just to show you that if you have an old EAP file and you want to bring it into a 64-bit version of Enterprise Architect, you can do it. So the very first thing you need to do is create a new project file. So I've called it 64-bit requirements, and I've saved it as a QEA file. So this is going to be my target. Under the settings tab, I can select transfer, and I can convert an EAP to a QEA file. So I'm going to select the old specification manager webinar EAP file. I'm going to select the target file that I just created, and I'm going to transfer that across to the new QEA file. So now I can open it up in a 64-bit version of Enterprise Architect, and I'm just going to go to the recent documents and open up that model, and you can see the conversions happened. My use cases, my functional, non-functional requirements have all been brought into Enterprise Architect, and I can continue to use them. So I really just wanted to start by showing some of the new enhancements to the start page and to the model transfer to talk about some of those new features in Enterprise Architect. So the top right hand corner, you'll notice that there is a notification that says I have a new email message. So those notifications, when I come in every morning, I have a look to see if anyone sent me a message or a chat, and all of those are managed there. Enterprise Architect allows you to insert links to any model element in a mail. So everything remains in context. And this is something that other friends in the IT industry don't realize how easy it is in Enterprise Architect that everything's all held together. Now, a new feature with the chat is that you can insert images, documents, and things that sit outside the model and send that to individuals. So here we're saying, are you happy with this banner for the annual report? And there's a couple of pictures there, including one of my favorites from Star Wars. But, the admin is writing back to the Chief Financial Officer saying, no, I think we should use this governance image, and that would look better in the annual report. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to quickly and easily engage with staff members or groups. So you can see you've got group chats and user chats, and I can select from the list anybody that's in our security user settings, and I can message them and email them. I can set up groups, so we can have a department for HR, for marketing, for sales, for support, for admin, for database development, and so the CEO can talk to different groups at different times. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to have real-time chats with people, whether they're in the office or at home. Doesn't matter where they are in the world, you can just click, create a chat, have a discussion, and interact with people. And at Spark Systems, we use this every single day. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to enable collaboration support on a diagram so you can do this in a more visual way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up this properties for, in this particular case, it's a class diagram, and down the right-hand corner, you can see it says support collaboration, and it's got none, with alias, with locking user, and with both. Now, what this does is it means that now if I put any actor on this diagram, it will use the alias and the locking user details in order to treat that actor as the person that is logged in. So I'm going to create one for my admin user, but what's really important is on the right-hand side here, I need to add the user alias. So I'm going to add admin. Now, with this particular model, CEO is CEO, admin is admin, CFO is CFO. I've tried to keep it all very simple so it's easy for people to visualize and understand. But you could create a diagram with 50 staff, and you simply add the alias, and then you can communicate with those individuals with just a single click using a element or an icon that's part of the quick buttons associated with that particular icon. Now you can refer to the security user for alias details and to set usernames and passwords. So I've now set up a series of actors, and each of those actors represents a staff member within the organization. I've used the properties and gone to the diagram properties for that diagram to enable collaboration. And I've said to use alias and the locking data. So now let's have a look at how, now that we've created this diagram, how we can communicate with these people. So with the quick linker, you'll see a new icon to the right. And we're going to look at that in a second. We have used enable custom draw, so you could have an actor as an actor icon, or you could use squares, or you could use alternative images. So I'm just going to show you some of the variations of how you might like to display your team members on screen. Now, my personal favorite is, rather than using squares and boxes, even though it looks quite neat, is to add an alternate image and to add an avatar or a picture or an icon so you can see which staff you're talking to at any given time. So in this particular instance, I've set up the admin account and used an avatar picture. Now, when I click on the new quick linker icon for collaboration, you can see that I can access a journal for this individual. I can select any individual in my team and send them a chat message, send them an email, and collaborate with them instantly. I can also turn on notifications, so it will let me know if I have new messages and new icons. So if I want to write an email to the CEO, I can just select the CEO and use that Collaborate tool and set up a message. Now, the great thing about having all of these integrated in is that you can integrate with model elements. So here I've created a new diagram to manage aspects of collaboration within the organization, and I've sent a link to that particular diagram. I can set up a discussion. So the human resources manager, I can send them a message and say, could we please update the calendar to list any staff that are currently working from home? So a lot of the examples that I've used in this particular demonstration are things that we use every single day at Spark Systems. So we use our calendar in order to record who's in, who's away, who's working from home. We use journal entries. We will send pictures and images that are in a draft format to one another via mail before it's put into the model permanently as a model artifact. Because sometimes you will go through, 10 or 15 drafts before the final product will end up in your model. So what I've shown you how to do is to create a diagram, and in order to enable collaboration on that diagram, and within a few mouse clicks, be able to send chat, mail, discussions, and to access a journal for individual members of the team. So now I'm going to talk about what some of these elements are. So the journal, and once again, the notifications tell me that I have some unread messages here. The journal allows you to develop ideas, and this airport example says, how can we respond to some of the recent pandemic issues? We have here a strategy map for improved safety, and so we have some journal items with some links to external documents or images that might be relevant for improving safety at the airport. So here we have a document from the Australian Government Department of Health about ways you can help protect people. And in addition to this, we've also included or inserted a link from the TSA about things that you can do to help improve airport safety. So what's really good is this journal can happen on a per element basis. So if you want to provide additional information to improve a requirement or to improve a class or a use case, you can add a journal and you can insert external documents, and you can add text and descriptions and details to add the rich depth that you need in Enterprise Architect so that you can get the job done. There's also a recent tab under chat and mail, and it will show you all of the discussions that you've had recently, and you can access them within a click. So often I'll use the recent tab if I'm managing conversations with Tom and Estelle and with Jeff, and I can very quickly click on the items that I need. And we also have managed chat documents. So if you send documents that are external to the model, you can access them, find them, save them to your local machine. And of course, you may choose to add them as a internal or external element in your model so that they're saved forever. But it's quite a powerful tool and technique that is valuable and interesting to use. So Under the Start tab, you have the Design Properties and Collaborate window. The Collaborate button allows you to instantly access things like diary, mail, chat. So there are a number of ways to very quickly access things that you need. You can create your own diary, and a diary can be used to keep personal model-based information, including your thoughts, ideas, and experiences. At any time, you can press F5 to insert the date and time, and this is quite a powerful technique for being able to jot down and record information. As I mentioned early on, one of the things management finds difficult with people working from home is it's hard to see what people are working on and how they're spending their time. And so, you know, journals and diaries are a way of being able to track that, to monitor that, and keep on top of things. Now, I don't know about people in the audience, but I love a to-do list, and I love being able to document what I want to get done for the day, who I need to contact, who I need to get in touch with. And the fact that it's all stored within Enterprise Architect and within the model repository, so it's not lost, means some of these million dollar ideas that people have that get thrown in the trash and get forgotten about, you can document them and record them. But it also helps you to manage your organization. Now, while the calendar is not particularly new, I just wanted to show you that, you know, there's a really good summit, Enterprise Architect Global Summit coming up, and it's in the calendar. But the calendar can be used to track deadlines, project guidelines, project deadlines, events that are going to happen that are relevant to your team. So you can schedule meetings, you can schedule Zoom calls, you can schedule a session where you can get together and you know, create a diagram and add to that diagram and edit that diagram and interact with it. You also have the library, which can be used, and in this particular example, I've got a leave form, a internet usage policy, so you can keep documents that the team will use all the time and store them within Enterprise Architect. Resource allocation is not new, but I want to show that Enterprise Architect provides a comprehensive product that allows you to manage every aspect of you know, collaboration within a team. So, for example, I've selected improve safety and I've assigned a task to the HR manager. I'm going to say they've only just started a couple of days ago, so they've only done, you know, 10%, 11% of their work. And I'm going to allocate staff to a particular element in Enterprise Architect. And now if I switch to a Gantt view within a diagram, you can see here that improved safety has a number of staff allocated. And if I expand that, I can see how staff are working on a particular element and how far they have gone into it. Enterprise Architect 16 has significantly enhanced reviews. So on a diagram, I can create a new review element. And with a review element, I simply select that review element and use the properties dialog to give the review a particular name. And you can see there are 2 question marks there. So I'm going to set the status to active, and I'm going to set the start and end date, and that will be displayed on screen in that particular review element. I can add a description for the review. So you might use a review to review code elements, use cases, class diagrams, activity diagrams, and you have a composite element. And when I click through this particular review, it opens up a more detailed review. Any individual can right click to join a review, and you can use the actor icons that I showed before to also join a review instantly. This new composite review element, if I expand, I can see that you have a nested review set diagram. And in this particular diagram, we can add elements that we want to review. So let's say we had, you know, 5 classes that we wanted to review, you could add those 5 classes. Or if you had some documents that the marketing team needed to review, you could add the documents. Or you could add issues, changes, requirements, use cases, requirements, classes, activity diagrams, all these things can be added to a review. Members of your staff can then join that review. They can discuss the elements, and then you can assign somebody to approve those elements before they get updated. So every review needs an approver. So simply right click, create an approver, and select the appropriate approver from your list of staff that you have within the system. So this allows you to create a formal structured review process for any of your code or designs within Enterprise Architect, and to manage that and to collaborate as part of a team. You can create review discussions. So if there's something of interest, so for example, if I'm not happy with the change or the check-in, or if I want something done, so is there any way that you can ensure the date displays correctly in both the American and European formats? This is a challenge that I often have with Australian and US dates. So you can add that to the review. You can then filter and search review topics. So if you have a large review with lots of elements, you can find things very, very quickly and easily. And once again, this is designed to help some of our corporate customers that have really important documents, classes, or use cases that need to be reviewed and need to be approved by people before they can be committed to the model. You can view test maintenance items and resource allocations quite quickly, and everything's integrated within the one tool. And I can't tell you how many times I've had casual discussions with people working in other IT organizations that in order to do the things that we're showing you today, have to use 15 or 20 different tools, where at Spark Systems, we get to use one tool. So today I've covered lots of things. I've looked at the start page and some of the new features of being able to add a guidance, add diagrams, add patterns. I've shown you how to drag a series of actors on screen and use those actors in order to instantly chat, discuss, or interact with those individuals, and to collaborate with them. And it doesn't matter where they're located, whether they're at home or in the office, you can speak to them and have discussions with them online in real time. And the great thing is that all of these discussions are recorded and managed and kept within the Enterprise Architect model repository, so that intellectual property is not lost, which is another one of the issues that I raised at the start of this discussion. You can instantly access a diary and a journal, so you can document your daily activities. And remember, in order to use this, you simply need to add the alias, and you need to access the properties for the diagram to enable collaboration. And you too can set this up in just a few minutes. And it allows you to use this new icon to use journal, discuss, review, send messages, and chat, and to collaborate with any member of the team with ease. And not only can you chat and discuss things with a particular individual, but you can set up group chats as well. So at Spark Systems, we have group chats set up for the dev team, for the marketing team, for Spark's business team, for the webinar team, and all of these chats are used on a daily basis so that we can keep in touch and to know where everybody is. I also showed how with chat you can now insert images and spreadsheets and documents from outside of the model and send them to team members for review. And I talked about the calendar and a few other things. So we've looked at start page enhancements. We used project transfer to get an old webinar file from an EAP format to a QEA format. We've used real-time chat to stay engaged and in touch with customers. We've looked at discussions with integrated images and documents. We've created a journal for any model element, which gives you an enormous, incredibly rich amount of detail that you can record for any model element in a journal, which can be used to improve requirements and make better products. We've looked at how to view recent interactions. We've looked at how to manage some of the chat documents so that you can go back something that was sent to you a week ago and save it to your local machine and perhaps add it to the model if it's relevant. And we looked at how to create some formal reviews. So like with all Enterprise Architect demos that are new, there's far too much information to show in an hour. And I've just focused on collaboration, and I've probably given you an overwhelming amount of content to look at. But I wanted to show you that there are lots and lots of tools that help teams collaborate and integrate and to communicate with one another, whether they're working from home or working from the office or they've got a hybrid approach. And this is quite a powerful way of collaborating within a team. Whenever I speak to my friends, I'm always so pleased that rather than having to use 15 different tools, I just use Enterprise Architect. And it's really great. And in fact, whenever I do occasional governance roles outside of Spark Systems, and whenever I have to go into one of those organizations and they're not using Enterprise Architect, it reminds me how lucky I am that I only have to use one tool and everything is maintained and managed within the one tool, and it's quite powerful. So what I'd like to do now is just see if there's any questions, and I'd like to thank you for your attendance, and I hope you found it interesting and saw some new things in version 16 that you might not have seen before.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Thanks for the wonderful session. We haven't had any questions as of now. Maybe we'll just give a couple of minutes for the participants to drop their questions now.
No problems.
Yeah.
So just while I'm waiting for questions, I might just open up my model. You can see that I've got my pinned document here. I'm going to log in as admin. So this is just looking at a document live. At any time, I can check for new messages. I can click to navigate within my enterprise. And here I've created this staffing diagram, which I showed in my presentation for my airport digital transformation team. And for each of these individuals, I can now use this new collaborate feature in order to access a journal, to access a discussion. If I want to talk to the COO, I can simply go and send them a message. So everything's integrated and everything's a click away. So it's certainly got a range of powerful new features.
Okay. Yeah, I have a question from Mario.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit how to store and share documents for a project, like standards, templates to be used?
Yes, so there are a number of things that you can do. One of the things that I did is I brought up the model library, so you can do that. If I have a look at, for example, chat, if I wanted to send a chat message to a group, for example, let's say I wanted to send something through to the operations team, I can do that. And in order to send that particular message, I can simply say, insert a document, and I can insert a picture, a spreadsheet. So here's that, and I can hit send, and now that goes to everybody in the operations team, and I can have a real-time chat discussion. And all I need to do is press Control-click, and it will bring that particular document up. Of course, what we can do is we can add elements in Enterprise Architect itself as an internal model element as well. And we can use the document library in order to add files and documents there as well. This new Collaborate window allows you to access this. So if I click on Model Library, here we've got a lead form. So it's really easy to just go new document, give it a name. And in here you can enter some text, and you can create a detailed report here, and that is available as a model library and everyone can access it. So some of the examples that I created were a sick leave form, an email policy. So at Sparks, we have various policies for internet usage and how to apply for leave, and all of that is stored in Enterprise Architect as well. So in EA16, you can take documents that are outside of Enterprise Architect and send a link to those. You can embed them in a model diagram, or you can use the model library and add documents there. So there are lots of ways of taking policies and documents that are used every day and that are seen by your staff, colleagues, and stakeholders, and embed them in the model so that they're available for everybody all the time. So for me, working from home, I've never thought, oh, I don't have this sick leave form, because I know it's just always in the regression model at work and I can access everything. So it doesn't, to me, the work environment feels exactly the same. And because I'm accessing things via the Pro Cloud server, I'm accessing everything in real time. I just happen to be doing it from the comfort of my home office rather than at HQ. So
Thank you.
That answered that question.
Yes, thank you, Scott. Following to the answer, the question from the same participant: can we add PDF files?
Absolutely.
PDF files as
yes.
documents in the model library. Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can also add PDFs here. Do I have one handy? No, but here's an ODP file, and so I can add that. And you can go here and you can add PDFs as well. So yes.
Okay, thank you. And the last question for you to answer here is, would the MS Teams integration take the place of some of the mails and commenting?
So moving forward, within our organization at Spark Systems, we just use Enterprise Architect. But we've only, the beta hasn't been released yet. So I think in future, there would be lots of opportunities where we would probably use Prolaborate in conjunction with Enterprise Architect to manage teams and questions and tasks and things like that. I think out of necessity, we needed to use these collaboration tools at Spark Systems, and given the current environment, lots and lots of our customers needed these collaboration tools integrated within Enterprise Architect. So we've made a great deal of, and put a great deal of energy and effort into supplying those in the next version of Enterprise Architect to help our customers. And it certainly helps us on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. And one more question, if you don't mind, how to access this .qae project from Michelle?
So QA is just the new file format. So if you go here and you see open file, you can open a QEA file, QEAX file, FEAP, EAP, and EAPX. So all the QEA file is that it's moving away from Jet databases. It's based on the MySQL, and Tom talked about it a little bit more in his presentation on EA16, but it allows your reports to be bigger and faster. It supports so Enterprise Architect 64-bit, so it improves addressing and scalability, and so there's lots and lots of advantages of using it. But in order to access it or to open a QEA file, you can just do that. And moving forward using Enterprise Architect 16, if you were to create a new file, you would most likely use a QEA or QEAX file so that you can take advantage of some of the speed and scalability improvements that are offered by 64-bit technology.
Okay, thank you, Scott. And we are receiving a couple of more questions too. So I'll be pasting these questions in Teams window for you to take forward the conversations with participants directly.
No problems. Thank you very much for attending. Today in Australia, it's Are You OK Day. So, please reach out to, family and friends, make sure they're okay in tough situations, look after one another, and thanks very much for taking the time to listen to the session today. And hopefully people have found out something new and exciting about EA16, and looking forward to trying it.
Yes, yes, of course. So thank you, Scott. Once again, thanks to everyone for your time during the session. As said, now Scott will be available in MS Teams to have a detailed discussion and answer more questions. The link to Microsoft Teams is pasted in the chat window for your quick reference. If anyone is having difficulty in accessing the Teams or reaching Scott through in Teams, please write to us at registrations@eaglobalsummit.com. Thanks once again, everyone, and looking forward to hosting you all in another session at this summit shortly. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.